Welcome to Parkinson's Resource Organization's Together in Parkinson's podcast. Join us as we delve into the latest medical treatments, share valuable insights on care, and discuss practical strategies for navigating life with Parkinson's. If you appreciate the insights, stories, and conversations we share, we invite you to support our podcast. Your donations help us continue creating quality programming and bring you the topics you most want to know about. Every contribution, no matter how small, makes a difference.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today for another episode of Together in Parkinson's. Today we are discussing life, career, and family with young onset Parkinson's. Joining us is Matthew Liu, the youngest board member here at Parkinson's Resource Organization, who is a person living with young onset Parkinson's. Matthew, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Glad to be here with you guys.
We're happy to have you. It's always a pleasure to do a catch up with you, Matthew. So, Matthew, you were diagnosed when you were very young. Can you tell us a little bit about what that process was like?
Well, it was I'd say when I first noticed my symptoms, it was in high school, like the later years, like junior year. I remember sitting in a car and like my leg shaking and just thinking, oh, it's just a normal thing. And everybody shakes to a certain extent. Little would I know that years down the road, it would turn out to be Parkinson's. I did happen to go to a doctor, and they said he wrote it off as benign essential tremor. So, and then it turned later on, it wasn't that. But I got a second opinion years later. But yeah, I guess they didn't really know. And I would also notice after playing sports, exerting my body, I would kind of have I would be shaking and have a tremor. So I think that was from the exertion, but also Parkinson's later down the road to figure it out. But yeah, it's been on the journey since then.
Well, I think it's relatively common experience for young people with Parkinson's to struggle to get that diagnosis because doctors aren't expecting to see it. But the fact is, young Parkinson's is on the rise, and hopefully a little more awareness of young Parkinson's will help get that diagnosis faster so you can get on the road to treatment. When you did get that diagnosis, what went into it? Did they do any testing, or was it a clinical diagnosis? What did you have to do to actually get that Parkinson's diagnosis?
Well, I did get the first time doctor I saw that kind of mentioned that I might have Parkinson's. He kind of just was able to look at me, so it wasn't a formal diagnosis, but he just noticed I had the same symptoms. But then maybe a year later, I ended up getting I think it's a DAD scan where they shoot the radioactive material in you, and it shows up in your brain on the scan. But so from when I had that, it proved that I did have I don't know what they saw exactly, but loss of dopamine or in the basal ganglia. So from there, that's when it was officially confirmed. So yeah, that was a test that kind of explained it all. But I guess when I first got the diagnosis, I was kind of in disbelief. Oh, I'm young, and I didn't know that this could happen. But now when I go on Facebook, the YOTD groups, there's a lot of people with it who are in their 30s and late 20s, and they're just kind of beginning their lives and their careers.
Well, I think that's a unique aspect of young Parkinson's is, first of all, it is on the rise, and whether that's an increase in our ability to diagnose it or whether it is actually occurring more in our population is somewhat up for debate. But undeniably, young people with Parkinson's are more likely to turn to social media and to social networks to connect with each other, which is a very unique way to find people within this sub-community of a sub-community. So you hit the nail on the head, I think, with that description of your early diagnosis, that it's a situation of disbelief. In those early days after your diagnosis, how did you cope with that? Did you turn to friends? Did you turn to the internet? What did that look like?
Well, with a lot of YouTube, like researching and friends, hanging with friends and loved ones does really help a lot to help you kind of feel like solidarity with people. Because I guess with this disease, it kind of leaves me at least feeling like an outcast or like, oh, I'm different. I shake, and I don't know. I guess that can that affected me. And I guess I didn't want to be seen as like with the identity of someone who just shakes, and having it so young, people kind of don't know what's going on. I kind of have to explain to them if they ask, but yeah. So I guess it's just the identity that comes with it. I guess the stigmas but yeah. So coping. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, Matthew.
So I guess the hanging with friends and like just researching and the amount of community that's out there on the internet help you kind of cope with it, hearing different ideas from different people, and yeah, that's kind of what helped me kind of get through this. And I'm still doing research every day and about new advances in Parkinson's and technologies and things of that nature.
You are our go-to source for new technology related with Parkinson's, and I will ask you a question about that in just a moment. In the meantime, I did want to let our audience know that one aspect of young onset Parkinson's, people with young onset Parkinson's are more likely to experience that dyskinesia, which is those involuntary body movements that Matthew just described, which is sometimes can feel very alienating socially, especially when you're young. So given the emotional aspects of this and the physical aspects of this, how has your relationship with your family changed after your diagnosis?
I'd say it's definitely brought us closer and more understanding is with it. Like, if I'm having like trouble doing something, like they're usually quick to come in and help. And my brother also having Parkinson's, he's been an inspiration, showing me like all the things he can still accomplish. Because he's a school psychologist, and just showing that you can still kind of do everyday things, even though you have this disability. You can still make it have an ability to do things, but I think it's definitely brought us closer and more open. How we can talk about, like I can talk about when I'm in pain, or if my mom's having pain, because she's a senior, and I don't know, it kind of creates more discourse between like all these, like I guess, diseases and neurological disorders.
Yeah, you have to communicate because the challenges of this condition require it. And it's interesting. I mean, having witnessed your own family, your relationship with each other, it's really beautiful to see. So fast forwarding to today, what would you say is your biggest hurdle living with Parkinson's?
I think it's just how, like, when I try to do something, my body shakes. So I have to tell myself, okay, I'm gonna shake through this, and just try to focus on what you're trying to do rather than the shaking. So I guess that's kind of doing this everyday task, but we get through it.
That's a great attitude, Matthew. Now you mentioned kind of talking yourself through it and focusing. Do you find that mindfulness plays a role in your ability to complete these daily tasks?
Yeah, I definitely do, because when I'm feeling moments where I'm anxious, or it can really kind of, it's like your anxieties are lying to you. So you have to kind of break through that, like being out in public or going grocery shopping and maybe trying to reach for something and I'm shaking. I guess I just have to remind myself, like, oh, it's just okay. Like, people aren't going to judge you, and just to work through it and kind of communicate. Like you said, communication does kind of breaks the barrier, so you can let people understand. But sometimes I often have to tell people, like, oh, I have a condition. Don't worry, nothing's wrong. I'm not having a seizure. Yeah, which is kind of nice in some way. It shows that people care.
Yeah. Yeah. It shows the good side of human nature.
Yes.
You mentioned going out and the challenges of being in public. Do you have trouble, socializing with friends or with a partner? And how do you deal with that?
I feel like it kind of makes it, I get kind of shy and reclusive when I'm out with like a big group of people, because I guess I'm more focused on how they're perceiving me, but which I shouldn't worry about at all. As I guess just trying to get I let people know who I am and my personality. Sometimes I can kind of like be like a turtle and hide in my shell, and so I guess it's something I have been working on, is trying to be more open to conversation. And because I guess one of the symptoms of Parkinson's is anxiety, and it kind of can like make you turn on yourself in that aspect and like miss out on opportunities.
Yeah. It's not just anxiety, but also apathy, which makes it hard to get started on something you want to do. Say you've got a birthday party on Friday and you've been thinking about the birthday party and planning to go to the birthday party, but then Friday might roll around and you just feel low energy or disinterested. You say, oh, I guess I'm not going to make it. And there might be 5 reasons you give for not going before you get to Parkinson's apathy, but the root of all of them might be Parkinson's apathy. It's also interesting, that we do all have different personalities. Some of us are highly extroverted. Some of us tend to be more reclusive in general. And so if you receive a diagnosis of Parkinson's and you're already an introvert, it's going to compound the challenge there.
Yes.
So Matthew, we have talked about technology at length in various other conversations. I would love to hear from you. What are some of the adaptive technologies that you use to navigate Parkinson's at school or professionally or socially? What works for you?
Well, at school, I like to, there's like a pen that when you take notes, it records the professor while you're taking notes, and it remembers the spot of when you add a special paper where the pen, I guess, connects with. And when you click on that word that you wrote down, it'll start the professor's lecture that are recorded at that point in the spot. There's also I've been wanting to get, I don't have it, but an Apple Watch they have an app that I guess can track your tremor and stuff. But other than that, I'm still looking for new technologies and also I have a deep brain stimulator. So using that, I guess that counts as assistive technology.
Sure does. That sure does.
I guess, but yeah, I am looking into the Apple Watch thing, so I'll have to get back to how that works.
You'll definitely have to let us know. There's been more and more out in the news about the Apple Watch and how it can help track symptoms for Parkinson's. And the importance of that is that someone with Parkinson's might not see their movement disorder specialist more than twice a year. And in between those visits, a lot happens and a lot gets forgotten. So having that sort of technical record of actually, I've only been getting 4 hours of sleep a night consistently, or tremors seem to be worse right before noon every day, or any other, or I seem to be experiencing a sudden dizziness spells every afternoon. All of that is really important information to convey to your doctor, and the Apple Watch can record and preserve that data. So it's pretty interesting. There are a number of apps as well for Parkinson's that can help with socialization or with that symptom tracking, which is so challenging. And then Matthew, you described a pen. I think you might be referencing the Live Scribe. There's a number of users of this as well that can scan something that you're reading or listen to something that is being spoken around you. And that can be really crucial for people who are still in school or in an environment where they have to listen and take notes.
Yes, especially with the tremor, it can be quite difficult to write or to even read your own handwriting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that does come in handy.
And then, of course, our cell phones these days do have such built-in technology like voice to text, where you don't have to type your text, you can speak it, or even voice notes. You can have a back and forth conversation with someone, but you don't have to read or write. And then the various socialization apps as well.
Although sometimes the voice to text, it's not the most accurate, but for the most part, it does get it. But sometimes you have to go in there and edit things.
Yeah.
But it is a step forward to helping people.
And another note on that voice to text is that people with Parkinson's sometimes experience loss in volume or loss in clarity of speech. And there's actually a study being done right now that people with Parkinson's can participate in, trying to develop basically more intelligent AI to absorb differences in our speech patterns. Now, this is more widespread than Parkinson's. They're looking at accents, but they're also looking at things like volume and speech clarity as well, to help make those apps more intelligent, which is an ongoing journey. And you can learn more about that one on our website, www.parkinsonsresource.org, in the news section. So I know that we've talked about adaptive technology, but I know that you do some non-traditional treatments for Parkinson's as well. Can you talk to us about, aside from the carbidopa, levodopa, aside from the DBS, what other treatments have you pursued to help you navigate your Parkinson's symptoms?
Well, I'd like to try to look at it from a holistic approach. So I take magnesium, like just supplements. I also partake in like cannabis, like CBD, like those type of herbal treatments. But and also just exercise. I've been focusing or doing some physical therapy, and it does help a lot with my movement. And just doing like little exercises like squats when I'm just at the kitchen counter, use it as something to hold on to.
Yeah.
Then that seems to kind of help me when I get stiffness, like doing a couple one set of squats, like 10 reps.
Yeah. That's
Or
amazing.
like
That's a clever way to incorporate exercise throughout your day.
Yeah, just when I'm doing a task, just to kind of do it, or when you're watching TV, kind of get up and get moving a little bit.
So I'm going to ask you to be introspective again. What have you learned about yourself as you navigate life with Parkinson's?
I guess it's really, it kind of tests you to see how much tenacity and perseverance you have to get something done. And I guess sometimes I can feel embarrassed about my tremor in public, but it's something that kind of tests me to see like how much do I want something or to go for that. Yeah, I guess that's all. Yeah, that's about that.
That's major one. That's major, Matthew. Yes, tenacity is key. The more you invest and engage in your Parkinson's diagnosis, the better quality of life you can have with it. And it's a huge load to put on young shoulders. We often say that Parkinson's is the club nobody wants to join with the best people on earth. It's a huge load to put on a young person, and you certainly have risen to the challenge in a beautiful way. So thank you for sharing that. Now, what would you say to someone who has just been diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's? What advice would you give them?
I'd tell them to push themselves, but also know when they need to take a break or when they need and kind of be easy on yourself. Like talk to yourself like you're your best friend, to help them to kind of don't be so hard, but also like push yourself at the same time. Because I know there's a lot of like the symptom of shaking or stiffness can like kind of slow you down. but just kind of take things slower, and just try to work through that. But I know there's going to be trials and tribulations, but once you get over the hump, things do get easier as you start getting used to putting in the work and all that.
Yeah. It's a steep learning curve, but talk to yourself like you're your best friend. I'm going to take that one home with me, Matthew. I think I need to remember that sometimes too. And I'm sure most of our audience does. That's a beautiful sentiment and really well said. Is there anything you'd like to mention that we haven't covered yet about young onset Parkinson's and the management?
I guess not so much the management, but I guess I want to meet more people, with it, because I haven't really met too many people other than my brother. But reach out to Pro, and let's get a community started and to kind of give advice to each other and just to see what each other's lives are like, so we can walk in each other's shoes for a bit, and just to kind of come up with a community to help people that need it. I know a lot of people, they probably feel lonely, and we need more community for the young people. Because I know this disease is seen as an old person's disease. Yep. And people kind of don't understand us, and the young people have to be more persistent on explaining to people. So I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Again, really well said, Matthew. If you are a young person with Parkinson's and you are watching or listening to this episode, give us throw a comment our way or give us a call. Our phone number is 760-773-5628. We would love to connect with you. We definitely would love to build a community of young people with Parkinson's and connect you with each other. Because you're right, Matthew, that this is lonely and isolating. And it doesn't have to be. We are always talking about you are not alone. You are not alone, but you are as alone as the outreach you do to the community around you. So Matthew, thank you for mentioning that. Please get in touch with us, whether you are a young person with Parkinson's or not a young person with Parkinson's. There's a community that's ready to welcome you and share that knowledge and that research and simply the solidarity of going through a really tough thing with other people.
Yeah.
Matthew, sorry. Interrupting you. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we all need to come together and discuss ideas and just kind of look for support, because I know we're all going through feeling like an outcast at times. So yeah, I just want everybody to come together and try to discuss things to further the research and advancement of PD's treatment.
Yep. We can teach and learn from each other.
Yes.
So thank you, Matthew, for sharing your time with us today and sharing your own story with Parkinson's. It is truly an honor to know you, and I always enjoy hearing more about what you're looking into right now and what's working for you at the moment. Matthew, by the way, is a member of our board, and he can be reached through us at Parkinson's Resource Organization. And if you didn't know, Pro does have a virtual resource directory on our website where you can access resources that you might not know about that can help improve your quality of life as you navigate Parkinson's, both as a person with Parkinson's and as a caregiver. So Matthew, thank you for joining us on this episode and sharing your journey with us. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure talking to you all.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you get the latest information about Parkinson's, like it, comment, share, all of that good stuff. We are here to help you navigate life with Parkinson's. You are not alone, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Thank you for being part of Parkinson's Resource Organization. Your donations help us continue creating quality programming